Chapter 72. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them were so busy that they had to wait for a long time. Leila came forward and asked Laxus, "How come you are so fast?" Ulu's test is relatively simple. Laxus answered easily. If his clothes were not torn, Laxus would have believed his lies, but compared with Laxus did seem particularly relaxed. After entering, Ulu had been waiting for a long time. When Ulu saw Laxus, she smiled, exchanged a few words with Laxus, and then silently mourned for Laxus for 2 seconds. Then the test began. The test content was to let Laxus persist in her hands for a period of time to pass. Laxus did not delay, but chose to fight head-on. Of course, he did not have many places to dodge. Ulu had laid ice walls all around to limit Laxus's flexible speed. As for the ice walls around, their thickness was beyond imagination and their hardness was extraordinary. Laxus had tried it, and his punch only made a dent 10 centimeters thick. After all, it was the defensive magic that Ulu had used from the beginning. Without that kind of confidence, how could he use it to resist a powerful attack? And Ulu did not give him a chance to break the ice wall. Ulu just released a few magics and made Laxus exhausted. Ulu released the rose garden and trapped Laxus in it. Laxus was ready to release the roar to smash it, but before he released it, he saw several seed-like ice bombs raining down on him, and there was no interruption. As time went on, Laxus's activity space became smaller and smaller. Ulu continued to put pressure on Laxus, and various ice-type plants were shaped to further compress Laxus's activity range. Laxus could only use large-scale lightning magic such as Roar and Thunder Dragon Jaw to break the ice, but he was still hit by the dense attacks. Laxus could only flee in a panic, but he encountered various thorns in the rose garden. Laxus kept using magic to break the ice and then increase the space to avoid. Laxus has been holding on under such high-intensity attacks. Afterwards, the two came out and found that Leila had not finished yet. Laxus could no longer hold back the smile on his face. He waited quietly for Leila to come out and see his expression. The third round of assessment will begin next. You two will fight. What? Old man, I haven't recovered yet. Leila looked at Makarov, as if to say that you are not serious. The assessment is like this, so luck is also very important. Makarov scratched his head, cold sweat began to appear on his forehead, and he turned his face to the side with a guilty conscience, not daring to look directly into Leila's eyes. Seeing Makarov like this, Leila immediately looked fiercely at Gildarts, who was pretending to talk to Ulu. Hey, Ulu, Laxus is pretty good, haha, ha. Gildarts avoided Leila's sight and smiled awkwardly. Gildarts, do you think this is reasonable? Leila walked quickly to Gildarts, her eyes red, staring into his eyes and questioning. I was just too excited and too fascinated by the fight, so I forgot about it. Gildarts touched the back of his head and explained timidly. Leila didn't listen to Gildarts' explanation, and angrily vented at Gildarts. Ulu looked at this scene and couldn't help laughing. Afterwards, Leila had no choice but to accept the fact, and then the two stood aside and prepared to fight. The other three also stood aside, acting as referees and spectators. The third round of the test begins. Makarov announced loudly. Seeing Lax's serious look, Leila looked at the magic power in her body again. Although she had recovered some of it when she was complaining just now, it was obviously not enough. As the voice fell, Laxus took the lead in attacking. Leila knew at a glance that although his magic power was consumed a lot in the battle with Ulu, it was much more than Leila's. Laxus also rested longer than herself. The more she thought about it, the more pessimistic she became. Seeing Laxus approaching, Leila hurriedly said, "Look, is that a dragon?" Seeing Leila pointing to the sky with a serious expression, as if facing a great enemy, Laxus also raised his head and looked in the direction Leila pointed. The three people standing next to him also looked and found that the sky was endless and still so blue. What? Laxus didn't see anything, so he turned his head and asked Leila, and Leila had already pulled away and ran into the forest. Hey, Grandpa, is this okay? Laxus was stunned for a moment, glanced at Makarov, and pointed at Leila's back. No restrictions on the venue. Makarov spread his hands, indicating that it was none of his business. Laxus immediately activated magic, his body turned into lightning, and chased after Leila. Leila was still running in front, but caught up with Leila in a moment. Leila heard the movement behind her and made the same action as before. Laxus, look, this time there is really something. Leila, I won't be fooled by you again. Laxus saw that he was about to touch Leila, and didn't care about Leila's words. Leila had no choice but to use teleportation to dodge, otherwise she would not be able to react at all. Laxus caught nothing, but he was not discouraged, because Leila was forced to this point to use magic to pull away. Obviously there was not much magic power, and his advantage was very great, and this time, Leila did not lie. A sword slashed down heavily above Laxus' head. Laxus felt a burst of murderous aura and immediately turned into lightning to dodge. At the same time, he took a look and saw that it was Leila's magic sword, and then attacked Leila again. Laxus clenched his fist, attached lightning, and hit Leila's chest. Leila waved her hand and the magic sword blocked it. Leila was hit back and forth by this blow, and then she took advantage of this momentum to distance herself from Laxus, and at the same time cut down trees to block Laxus' pursuit. Laxus jumped back and forth on the trees, dodging flexibly, and constantly closing the distance with Leila. Leila ran forward and saw Laxus chasing her relentlessly, and secretly groaned in her heart. The moderation of fools. Leila threw a card backwards, and it instantly turned into smoke and exploded. Laxus was caught off guard and went straight in, only to feel sleepy, but in the blink of an eye, Laxus jumped out, covered with lightning, using lightning to stimulate his mind and body, not only dispelling sleepiness, but also improving attack power, defense and speed. Leila knew that Laxus was going to start to get serious, so she stepped on the magic sword and flew directly into the air. Laxus had expected Leila to do this, and in an instant he came to Leila like lightning and grabbed the corner of Leila's clothes tightly. A bolt of electricity caught Leila off guard. Leila was hit so hard that she was unstable and teleported away. Leila was already a little out of breath at this time, and the magic sword was flickering. After Leila noticed it, she hurriedly concentrated and stabilized the magic sword. Laxus took this opportunity to come in front of Leila and launched a stormy attack on Leila. Every punch was accompanied by a strong electric current, which hit Leila's body along the magic sword. Finally, amidst the waves of electric shocks, Leila's spirit began to dissipate, and the magic sword also dissipated with Laxus's full-strength punch. Unable to withstand it, Laxus tightly grasped Leila's collar and pressed it to the ground, and another electric shock directly numbed Leila. Leila, you can't do it anymore. You played tricks on me in the first round, and you did it again in the last round. I caught you. Laxus said proudly. Alas, I give up. Leila felt dizzy and felt that her body was hollowed out. Finally, Laxus came back with Leila with a bruised face and panda eyes. Makarov and the other two had seen the whole process through the images released by the magic crystal. Makarov looked at the two people with a serious expression. Then Laxus Dolia will win the S-level exam and become an S-level wizard. Chapter 73. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the S-class exam, everyone in the guild knew the content and results of the exam. Everyone congratulated Laxus and began to comfort Leila. Leila herself didn't care and accepted everyone's comfort with a smile on her face. Because she would definitely pass the S-class exam next year, otherwise he would really have to find those two people to argue. Makarov also asked him to relax, but still reminded him to take more commissions in the next year. Leila readily agreed, but with his laziness, whether he could do it was another matter. Everyone in the guild celebrated Christmas together and spent the New Year together. After the festival, they ushered in the New Year. Makarov also asked him to relax, but still reminded him to take more commissions in the next year. Leila agreed happily, but with his laziness, whether he could do it was another matter. Everyone in the guild celebrated Christmas together and spent the New Year together. After the festival, they ushered in the New Year. Although the days that followed were dull, Leila also enjoyed this leisure time. After all, she would face a lot of troubles in a few years, especially after the plot began. That year, there was no peace, and even several giants of the Dark Guild were wiped out. Guildarts also accompanied Kana well during this period, but there was someone who disturbed them all day long. Natsu, what do you want to do? Kana turned around and said impatiently, Natsu, who was following closely behind them, smiled slightly, and the harpy flew in the air and landed on Natsu's head. Gildarts, I want to fight you one-on-one. Natsu pointed at Gildarts with his finger, his expression serious, and his eyes full of determination. Ha, come on, Natsu, what are you thinking about? Kana looked at Natsu in disbelief, and his confident look made people puzzled. Leila said Gildarts is very strong, and asked me to come and fight him, so that I can become stronger. Natsu said his purpose without hesitation. Gildarts laughed out loud and thought Natsu's idea was very interesting. What? When Kana heard that it was Leila's idea, she immediately said that she would go to trouble Leila later. However, Gildarts looked at Natsu, smiled, clenched his fists, and said seriously, okay, come on, Natsu. Okay. Natsu was overjoyed and began to accumulate strength, and fired a fire dragon's claw at Gildarts. Gildarts easily took it and knocked Natsu away, turning into a meteor and disappearing in the sky in an instant. Natsu! Habi shouted in the air, looking at the direction where Natsu disappeared, and then went to find him. Then, Gildarts and Kana continued shopping. The next day, Kana went to Leila angrily, Leila, did you tell Natsu to fight with his father? Shoo! Leila motioned Kana to be quiet, and pointed to the fish float in the water. Kana walked to Leila, sat down, and looked at Leila's fish basket, which only had a few small fish in it. She looked at Leila again, only to see that Leila looked calm. Kana curled her lips and watched him fishing quietly. Suddenly, the float shook, stirring up waves. Leila felt the shaking of the fishing rod in his hand, and pulled hard to catch the fish. When the fish was at hand, Kana looked at the small fish and couldn't help asking, it's so small, why did you catch it? Snacks for the harpy. Leila put the small fish into the fish basket and walked towards the cabin. So you caught these fish? Kana followed and walked side by side with Leila, with a hint of doubt and a hint of contempt in her tone. How is it possible? I caught a lot before you came, and I put them all in the space. Leila reacted strongly, as if someone questioned her strength. After returning to the cabin, Natsu and Gray were fighting. Urza rarely stopped them. After all, this was also a kind of competition. Mira and Altair were busy making food and pastries. Leila placed a lot of daily necessities in the cabin. They moved everything they used from inside to outside. Although there were already some ingredients, Leila didn't want to sit there, so she went fishing to add another dish. Lisanna and Elfman were practicing receiving magic, and Elfman's body gradually began to change. During this period, Myra's commissions became more and more frequent. Elfman knew that his responsibility was heavy. Only by constantly tempering his physique could he better protect Mira and Lisanna, so he asked Leila for advice, hoping to find a way to improve himself. Leila didn't have any suggestions, and gave him a basic exercise method, which listed the daily training plan in detail: 100 push-ups, 10 sit-ups, sit 100 times, squat 100 times, and run 10 kilometers. In the long run, the body will definitely undergo a qualitative change. Of course, according to personal circumstances, the amount of exercise can be appropriately increased. In addition, Bulu took Leo out to perform tasks. It is said that a commission of the Snake Princess scale requires the assistance of an ice wizard. During the routine meeting of the Guild President Alliance, Makarov showed off in front of everyone, and Ulu's reputation quickly spread to other guilds. Ulu wanted to complete the task alone, but Leo insisted on going with him, saying that he wanted to see the strong men of other guilds, so she simply took Leo with her. Gray was fighting with Natsu at the time and had no time to take care of other things, so he didn't ask for his opinion and kept him. Harpy, this is your fish. Leila gently put the fish basket on the table, and Harpy's eyes immediately lit up. Thank you, Leila. Habib said in a baby voice, then took the fish and began to eat it, occasionally shouting come on to Natsu. Then he took out the two big fish in the space and handed them to the two people who were cooking. The two took it and started cooking. Leila sat at the table and watched this scene quietly. She felt so relaxed and didn't hear Kana venting her dissatisfaction beside him. Such a comfortable day also lasted for a long time. Nothing happened and everything was so peaceful. it was not until the second half of the year that Leila had to accept the commission quickly. Makarov was very angry and gave him a severe lesson in the guild. Leila also took the task bitterly. When it was almost completed, the rest was with Urza and Mira, because it was really boring to do the commission alone. Finally, in this year's S-level exam, Makarov also reduced the difficulty a lot and simplified it. This year, there is only Leila, Urza, and the others should need another year to be qualified. Of course, there is also the reason that Makarov does not want them to contact too early. The content of the exam is that Leila and Laxus will fight in the East Forest, and the two will fight with all their strength. In the end, neither of them can do anything to the other. If they continue, the forest will suffer a lot, and the time will be delayed for a while. Therefore, Makarov stopped the fight between the two and then announced that Leila successfully promoted to an S-class wizard. Leila no longer has to see Laxus's smug smile. Every time he goes up to the second floor to do a commission, he walks up the stairs as if showing off. When he goes out to do a commission, he will pretend to show the commission to Leila. Every time Leila sees Laxus like that, she will tut and turn her head away from him. However, it is also because of Laxus's unique personality, charm and strong strength that there are 3 new people in the guild. As soon as they joined the guild, they went to Laxus and made a big fuss about becoming Laxus's personal guards, and even gave them a name, the Thunder Gods. Laxus readily agreed to this and even showed off in front of Leila, who didn't want to pay attention to him. After a while, more and more people began to join the guild. Chapter 74. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The new year is coming, and the new year is coming. May 30th, X780. Mr. Gang came back and went to the guild to accept a new commission. At this time, he saw 3 wands behind him. One was a magic that he researched himself to close anima, engraved on the wand that had been with him from the beginning. Another was an elemental wand that could summon multiple magic circles to attack. Another was an illusion magic, and it also had a sleep magic, Mist Phantom Neriku. This magic was released several times when I came back before, and everyone fell asleep. The old man was fine, but why did I get caught too? Don't you know to avoid me? I also need to notice it and then quickly leave the magic range. It happens every time, and I am almost used to it. Is it because he knows that it has no effect on me that he doesn't pay attention to control? I was so angry that I wanted to punch him twice. Forget it, there will be a chance later, but this time he came back at the right time, and the commission he accepted was in the north. When I passed by the Demon Cat Inn, I also told him about Wendy's situation. He asked me why I knew these things, but I fooled him. Of course, this was conditional. He asked me to help develop something. Last time I went to see Wendy, she asked me about Jalal again, and I didn't know how to answer. This time I happened to take him with me. I don't want to see Wendy's expectant eyes turn into disappointment in the end. And then she looked obedient, sympathized with Jalal, and made excuses for him. June 1st, X780. The moment I saw Mr. Gang, Wendy pounced on him before he even showed his face. It's been so long, and she still remembers his taste. Show it to me, I'm so envious. I've only held little Wendy a few times. Mist Gang is so hateful, but you can see that Wendy is very happy, and she talked to him a lot. When old man Robinlo saw him, he also asked about his recent situation. In the end, I was reluctant to leave. Looking at Wendy's smile, it was like a spring breeze, and my heart was warm. August 20th, X780. Mira invited me to do a commission. After reading the commission information, I had to solve a demon. When I got there, damn, it turned out to be the soul of Satan. I didn't know the whereabouts of the soul of Satan before, and it turned out to be obtained in the subsequent commission. Mira is also a natural enemy of demons. When fighting with the soul of Satan, they were evenly matched, and she also used receiving magic to accept some of its abilities. Lisanna and Elfman were also on the side, fighting with Mira. As for what I was doing, I was eating below, and I materialized a bag of popcorn and a bottle of Coke. To be honest, this 4D movie is really cool to watch, much better than anime. I was so excited to watch it, and my blood was boiling. I wanted to go up and do it. Unfortunately, Mira didn't let me go up, saying that they also need to grow up, and called me to prevent any accidents. The result is, Satan's soul. I got it. August 15th, X780. Kana talked to me about the card. Her current magic power is enough to make a powerful card as the main C, and then asked me if I had any ideas. I thought a lot, but I still felt that this was more reliable, so I told her to refer to Igneal, which Natsu has been mentioning. After all, dragons are still popular in this world. Others can add magic to the card on this basis, and add some settings for swallowing magic to the dragon, and the setting of the black dragon is almost mentioned. Of course, it can also be equipped with some external enhancement devices, such as a mecha suit, etc. Kana took a notebook and recorded it meticulously, and asked for other people's opinions. As for what the final product would look like, she didn't say a word. It seems that she is going to give us a surprise after it is finished, December 8th, X780. This year it is finally my turn to be the chief examiner. Haha, I am a little excited. Let me think about how to assess them. The old man read out this year's list. Urza, Mira, Kana, Altair, Urza and Mira are also opponents. Their strength is enough, and the number of commissions this year has also reached the requirement. Kana is still making cards, and her strength is still a little lacking. Altair is not interested in this. She is studying another thing, which is the second magic source I asked her to do. The two of them didn't have much hope to participate in the S-class exam of the year, but in the end the old man also added them to it, saying that they could improve their knowledge by participating in advance. After that, we discussed the content of this exam together. I am really impressed. I have nothing to do with the content of this exam. It is so boring. December 8th, X780. Alas, the first round of exams is finally over. The old man actually asked them to split into two groups to complete the S-class commissions. Urza and Kana are in one group, and Mira and Altair are in one group. Then they each accepted a commission, accompanied by Laxus and me. In case something beyond their ability happens, Urza and Kana completed the commission easily. The two cooperated well and successfully eliminated the giant monster. Mira's side was not so smooth. They accepted a commission to defeat the devil, which was in line with Mira's idea, but after going over, they found that the devil this time might have exceeded their ability. That demon is Mira's future form, Halfaz, but it is unlikely that the two of them can complete it at this stage. Mira received the soul of Satan all over her body and went forward to fight it in close combat. But the strength gap was too great and she was beaten back step by step. Fortunately, with the assistance of Ultia, she was able to fight it. However, Halfaz did not use his full strength. I stood in the distance and watched the battle. It might be a little afraid of me and just fought with the two of us. However, as time went by, perhaps because I was slow to act, its mood gradually became anxious and uneasy. Mira wanted to receive it, but it could always avoid it with unimaginable speed. In an instant, it was slightly careless, and its impatient mood was accurately caught by Ultia. An ice-shaped magic trapped it. Although it could not last long, it was enough for Mira to catch it and receive it. Unfortunately, something went wrong in the end. Halfaz's magic power was too strong. He was enraged by this and exploded directly, pushing Mira away. He grabbed Mira and knocked her Satan form away. I had no choice but to take action and defeat it. It was Teacher Saitama who knocked it to the ground with one punch, but the magic power was a little unbearable, and a big hole was smashed in the forest. Unfortunately, my move meant that the two of them failed the test, but Mira got a bargain, and the demon happened to be received by her. December 10th. X780. In the second test, Urza and Kana stood opposite each other, and the atmosphere became more and more tense. The two also fought fiercely, and Kana relied on a variety of cards to deal with Urza, but Urza gradually gained the upper hand with her tenacious will and excellent fighting skills. Unfortunately, Kana's card has not been made yet. After all, it still requires a lot of energy. Otherwise, it is not clear who will win this battle. In the end, Urza took advantage of Kana's magic power to launch a fatal attack. Urza was also panting tiredly. Dealing with Kana's card was very exhausting, but her face was filled with a smile of victory. In X780, Urza became an S-class wizard. Chapter 75. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old man was born in a poor family and was buried in a graveyard. In 781, Guildarts came back, and the people in the guild were more excited than ever, because before Guildarts went on this trip, he accepted a 10-year mission. Above the S level, there are SS level commissions. Even more difficult than the SS-level commissions are the 10-year missions that have not been completed in the past 10 years. It was also because of the 10-year mission that Makarov did not call him back for the S-level exam last year, not to mention that there were enough examiners. After the town had undergone earth-shaking changes, the uncle at the door of the guild was still the same, with a stubble on his face and tattered clothes. "Hey, how is everyone in the guild? Where's Kana?" Gildarts greeted everyone, then glanced and fixed his eyes on Kana in the crowd. "Welcome back, Dad." Kana also ran forward happily and said excitedly. Gildarts reached out and hugged Kana tightly, then put her down first, and went to Makarov to report the situation of the 10-year mission. "How is it?" Makarov saw that he returned safely, and the stone in his heart fell, and then asked calmly. "Easy." Gildarts laughed, his face full of ease. "Maybe he can consider a more difficult commission." "That's fine, this mission was completed very well, and the council will give you another reward. After all, it is a 10-year mission, and the council still strongly encourages us to complete it. Wait, it should be here soon." As soon as Makarov finished speaking, a messenger from the council came outside the guild frog. However, the frog's face was full of surprise. Just now, he was on the street, and suddenly heard the broadcast, and immediately ran to a stable place to stay for a while. He stared at the town in amazement, and waited until it was completely calm before slowly walking to Fairy Tale. Seeing the door of the guild open, he also said directly, "Is Gildarts here?" "That's right, let's go." Makarov heard the voice and walked over with Gildarts. "President Makarov, is this Gildarts?" The messenger greeted Makarov and asked. "Yes." Makarov nodded. "This is a special reward from the Council of Judges." The messenger then took out a letter from the bag beside him, which contained the reward. "Of course, there is also this one. The senators hope you can take a look." The messenger took out another envelope from it, with a unique mark on it, a white holy cross. "What is this?" Gildarts was stunned when he saw the familiar mark. Makarov and the others in the guild exclaimed, "Invitation to the Holy Ten." Damn, I knew that Gildarts could have been rated as the Holy Ten a long time ago, and now he's here. I just don't know what rank he'll be in. Now there are 2 Holy 10 mages in the guild. That the others in the guild began to chatter, imagining what Gildarts would look like after becoming the Holy 10. Perhaps the entire guild would be the strongest guild in the country. However, Gildarts didn't care about other people's thoughts and words. He just shook his head at the messenger and said embarrassedly, "I refuse. Please take this letter back." "Ah." Everyone in the guild looked at Gildarts in confusion, with doubts written all over their faces. However, Makarov was not surprised at all, and the choice Gildarts made was also expected. The Holy 10 is not as simple as it sounds. He also needs to take on the responsibility of the Holy 10, and there is nothing to do on weekdays, but if something serious happens, he still has to take responsibility. Gildarts himself doesn't like constraints. Moreover, Gildarts was strong enough back then, but he didn't receive an invitation from the Holy 10. At that time, Gildarts was not this uncle-like. He was young and energetic, so of course he couldn't understand this matter. Later, after Makarov talked to him, he realized what he was really pursuing, and he didn't care so much about the Holy 10. Now that so many years have passed, there is really no need to invite him to become the Holy 10. "Okay, then I'll leave." Seeing this, the messenger didn't say much, stuffed the envelope back into his bag, and left as if relieved. After the messenger left, everyone rushed up and asked Gildarts why he refused. However, Gildarts didn't explain too much. Makarov, seeing this, hurriedly stopped everyone and asked Gildarts to go back and have a good rest. In the other side of the council, after learning the news of Gildarts's refusal through the magic crystal, everyone showed a look of regret, but they soon adjusted themselves. After all, before sending out the invitation, Ijima had greeted everyone. He had already communicated with Makarov, and learned from Makarov that the result of this matter might be unsatisfactory. Everyone was also helpless. They had heard that the empire in the western continent was preparing to attack, so they panicked, but fortunately, it has been calm so far, and it is heard that it was the emperor of the empire who stopped this meeting, so now these council members are still calm, just in case. hoping to recruit more forces. It happened that Gildarts was very powerful, and it was the time to use people, so he invited him. But unfortunately he did not accept it in the end. It was already evening, and Leila was sitting at the table, preparing to record something, when she suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. Oh my God, is there something wrong with the medicine? Didn't my mother-in-law say that it's okay to take it? At most, there will be some other negative effects, but there won't be any major harm. But he didn't think much about it, and immediately decided not to stay up late tonight. He would go to Polyusica to ask about the situation early tomorrow morning, and then put away his notes and went to bed. The next morning, Leila couldn't wait to find Polyusica deep in the forest, but her mother-in-law was concentrating on research and ignored him. After a while, Polyusica asked Leila to tell her about the feeling of the experiment last night so that she could record it. Leila told her about the slight discomfort he felt last night, but Polyusica said that it couldn't be a problem with the medicine. Maybe it was his illusion, and then sent him away. On the way back, Leila looked at the forest, his heart full of joy. He hadn't come out to breathe the fresh air in the morning for a long time. After all, he didn't wake up so early. When he walked into the guild, it was very lively. Leila was used to it, so he found a place to sit down casually, looking at the groups of people laughing and playing. Leila couldn't help but sigh that they were still the same, so energetic every day. However, when he saw Natsu and the others playing and playing, suddenly, an indescribable feeling came to his heart, and he always felt that something seemed to be missing. What are you thinking about? Mira put a glass of wine in front of Leila, and saw that he frowned, so he asked. Well, nothing. Leila came back to his senses and shook his head. He didn't say what he felt, just thinking it was his own illusion. Here, you haven't had breakfast yet. This is what I made myself. Mira handed Leila an extra lunch box that she made in the morning. Thank you, Mira. Leila took the lunch box with joy, and then ate it voraciously. Leila was still chewing her food, and gave Mira a thumbs up, praising her generously. It's delicious, Mira. It's okay as long as it tastes good. Mira sat next to her, watching Leila eat quietly, and smiled knowingly when she heard Leila's praise. Chapter 76. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The two of them were in a state of panic. What Leila didn't know was that his feeling was not wrong. The night before yesterday, Makarov deliberately left one person behind. The guild was closed, so he immediately opened the barrier inside the guild, and after confirming that there was no one around, the two began to talk. You want me to sneak into the council? Mester looked solemnly, looking at Makarov in disbelief. You're the only one who can do this. Makarov narrowed his eyes and answered seriously. Is it to steal something? Mester asked immediately. It's not this kind of mission. I hope you can provide me with all the information about the Western continent. Makarov said his purpose in a calm voice. Then you go find Leila. Can't you search for her with her magic? Mest was stunned for a moment when he heard Makarov's words, and then asked with doubt. No, he shouldn't be able to get it. The information is a bit secret, and his magic shouldn't have any information. Makarov shook his head and denied this method. Okay, but why? Mest spread his hands and accepted the task, but still couldn't help asking curiously. I hope you promise me not to ask too much. This is to protect the guild and my family. Makarov opened his eyes were firm, and he said to Mest in a solemn tone. His eyes were sharp and pierced Mest's heart. When Mest saw Makarov's expression, he knew that this matter was not simple at all. Since it was for everyone in the guild, he had to be more cautious. In this case, we must do it perfectly. By the way, just erase your memory. Mest suddenly became excited, his eyes were full of wisdom, and the smile on his face overflowed. Let's forget about it. Makarov was ashamed and advised. After that, Mester was ready and told Makarov about the method he had set to remove the memory erasure magic. In just 2 days, the memories of the guild members were completely erased. However, when he erased Leila's memory, he heard a few words from Leila, and then returned to the guild, reported the progress to Makarov, and prepared to set off. President, I think Leila seems to have noticed something. Mester was a little worried. Leila was too sensitive. How was the memory erasure? Makarov didn't care, just asked about the memory erasure. Everything about me in the past few years has been erased. That's enough. Leila's soul power is relatively strong, so it's not surprising that she has noticed something. Makarov immediately explained. Well, I'll start now. Be careful. Makarov said earnestly. Don't worry, President. Mester smiled slightly, then cast a teleportation magic, disappeared instantly, and rushed towards the council. Makarov had already made arrangements and rented a room in a town not far from the council for Mester to stay. When Mester arrived, he would erase his memory and add some fictitious memories. Next, he would participate in the council's personnel assessment and successfully enter the council's intelligence department, so that he could obtain the information Makarov needed. Alas, I hope everything goes well. Makarov recalled Mester's appearance and sighed helplessly. When Yajima communicated with him, he said that he invited Gildarts to become the Holy Ten, and he didn't understand it. Usually, the group of counselors couldn't accept this situation. Later, he learned some things through Yajima's words, but because of Yajima's identity as a counselor, he couldn't tell Makarov too much, and he only knew some ordinary information. What Makarov wanted to know was the purpose of the Albaraz Empire's attack. For such a long time, the Albaraz Empire had not made any moves. It already had the weapons of the council to deter it. How could it suddenly prepare to start a war at this time? The only thing that could attract their attention on this continent was that, perhaps Makarov could get the answer by asking Leila directly, but unfortunately, he thought too much. Leila's ancient script magic might not be able to know the truth, but his memory remembered it clearly. On the other side, Auguste attended the meeting. As the head of the 12 Holy Shields, he had to be present for such things. If he was not there, no one could make the decision on their own. After all, this country was created and developed by him and His Majesty. Development. After learning the content of the meeting, Auguste strongly opposed it. Although some other radical 12 shields wanted to start a war, they were all rejected by Augustus, and they were warned not to try to make decisions for His Majesty. Zirif took Obra to sit on the emperor's seat. His expression was full of pity, his eyes were empty, and he stared at the table blankly, as if he recalled something. Finally, Zirif issued an ultimatum, prohibiting the war against Ishgar. What's more, Augustus could see that Zirif still had some nostalgia for that place, which carried the happiest time of his life. That thing would basically not happen, at least before Zirif changed his mind. After Augustus went back, he did not tell Mavis and Leila about this matter. After all, it was not launched in the end, and telling it out would only add to the trouble. A few days later, Dolenbart took his materials and walked towards the council. After arriving at the good department, he handed the information to the staff. After that, you have to wait for the review to pass, and then prepare for the magic test, interviewer assessment and other steps before you can join the council. Dolenbart's information is very complete, and his experience is also perfect. He has passed the assessment in the first trial. After the second item, magic test, Dolenbart's magic nature was determined to be suitable for working in the intelligence department. For the final assessment, Dolenbart waited excitedly. After watching the people in the queue in front of him go in, he felt a little nervous. However, after entering, he quickly adjusted his state. Facing the questions raised by the interviewer sitting there, he talked freely and finally successfully entered the council. However, at the beginning, he was just an ordinary intelligence officer and could not access any important news. Thank you, Lord Zikrian. It's okay, don't be so polite. I'm not much older than you. I hope you can shine in the council. Yeah. Dolenbart nodded heavily with a bright smile on his face. Next. After Dolenbart left, the person behind him just now walked in, wearing a pair of glasses and looking gentle and refined. Hello, my name is Lahar. 1 month later, in the secluded corridor outside the intelligence department in the Magic Council. Since we have severed diplomatic relations with the Western continent, intelligence is also as difficult as a tangled mess. Really? Makarov replied calmly. Intelligence is indeed difficult to obtain. From the moment he decided to let Mester infiltrate, he had made long-term preparations. By the way, the counselors really hate our guild. Dolenbart said to Makarov with a helpless tone. I think so too. Makarov didn't have any expression. After all, he knew about this kind of thing a long time ago. Really? Mester saw Makarov's indifferent look and knew that it was useless to say anything. You too, you really erased your memory to infiltrate. Makarov complained. It's okay, as long as the president helps me solve it, I will recover my memory. Mester didn't care. Being able to infiltrate perfectly was the most important thing. You are really smart, Mester. Makarov also praised. No, I used the name Dolenbart during the infiltration. Mester accepted it happily, but corrected his name. Then I will leave first, I will come to you again, Dolenbart. Makarov also cooperated. In the days that followed, the old man basically came to see Mester once every few months, but there was no accurate news, so everything had to be done slowly. Chapter 77. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In a room on the second floor of the guild, Gildarts and Makarov were discussing an important matter. Have you made up your mind? Makarov looked at Gildarts with a serious expression, and asked repeatedly with hesitation. Yes. Gildarts raised the corner of his mouth, smiled, and nodded heavily. Does Kana know about this? Makarov continued to ask. Hearing Makarov's words, Gildarts' thoughts drifted back to last night, when he talked to Kana about this matter. However, Kana agreed with Gildarts' choice after a brief silence. Kana had no intention of stopping him. If Kana said she didn't want to go, he would give up without hesitation. I've already told her. Gildarts replied. Since Kana has agreed, I have no reason to stop you. Makarov heard that Kana had no objection, so he stopped insisting. Makarov turned his head and took off the commission from the wall behind him, and then handed it to Gildarts solemnly. It only records the client's location, without any specific content. You need to go there in person to know. Makarov explained to Gildarts. Gildarts took the commission and took a look. As Makarov said, there was only a location on it, in the Barelia area in the south of Kiltina in the northern continent, and the name of a guild. In addition, there was a giant dragon with its wings spread out on the commission, perched on it, with a sharp gaze, as if examining Gildarts, and the mysterious atmosphere of the entire commission was overwhelming. Dragon of the Magic Array? What guild is this? Gildarts stared at the name of the guild on the commission sheet, full of doubts, and couldn't help asking. This is the earliest wizard guild in the world. For specific information, you can ask Leila. Makarov replied. He didn't know about the 100-year mission in this guild. Okay, then I'll go find Leila. Gildarts knew the importance of intelligence and turned to leave without hesitation. When do you plan to leave? Makarov asked. In the next few days. Gildarts replied. Okay. Makarov responded and stopped talking. Gildarts held the commission sheet and walked towards the intelligence room on the other side, but Leila was not there. Then, Gildarts walked to the other side of the table and stepped lightly on it. A dazzling white light flashed, and Gildarts had arrived at the cabin. At the same time, Gildarts heard some noises coming from outside. He slowly opened the door and walked out. Leila was sitting on the table over there, bored and materializing a bunch of small dolls, all of which looked like everyone when they were children. Then, he materialized various Venus on the table and asked them to fight fiercely on the table. Although the power of the magic was much smaller, the effect was very shocking. The whole table was covered with the spell, so that the effect of the magic would not affect the outside of the barrier. Mira and Altair stood by, with a curious look on their faces, staring at the scene intently. As for the others, Kana was fighting fiercely with Urza, Natsu went to train with Elfman, and brought Lisanna and Happy, and Ulu went to watch the battle between Gray and Leo. Everyone was growing up rapidly. Gildarts came over and saw three people doing something around the table from a distance, but he could hear Mira and Altair's exclamations. After approaching the table, Gildarts' eyes lit up and he immediately became interested. However, he decided to ask questions first and then talk about this interesting game. Leila, I have something to ask you. Gildarts said to Leila directly. Oh, you said? Leila noticed Gildarts coming and stopped what she was doing when she heard his words, but the dolls in the barrier continued to fight. Do you know the dragon of the magic array? Huh. Leila was originally smiling, but she was stunned when she heard the name. Although he had not read the 100 Years Quest, he still knew some news. However, what he knew was only the most basic situation. The specific plot was not clear, but he still understood the main quest. Seeing Leila fall into deep thought, Gildarts did not disturb him and waited quietly for Leila's answer. The Dragon of the Magic Array is the earliest wizard guild founded. It has been around for a long time. It's been more than 100 years. Now, there is only one person in that guild, and that is the guild leader. Leila told Gildarts. Leila knew that Gildarts's question meant that he had decided to do the 100-year mission, but had Gildarts told Kana about it? As Leila thought about these things, her words stopped involuntarily, but Gildarts looked at him with confusion, not understanding why he stopped. No more? Gildarts asked immediately. Yes, the guild leader is a dragon, to be precise, a wizard who uses dragon-killing magic and has turned into a dragon. Leila hesitated for a moment and continued. Gildarts listened to Leila's words with full concentration, but just one sentence made him stunned and looked at him with his mouth wide open. Myra's face was full of shock, but Ultia was much calmer. After all, she had heard about this matter from Leila a long time ago. However, she was really surprised that there were people who could transform into dragons besides the black dragon. Seeing that Gildarts was puzzled, Leila explained to him the dragon-killing magic and the existence of the black dragon. Gildarts sat there, digesting this completely unfamiliar information to him. However, in a moment, he couldn't help but smile. Just when Gildarts was in a turmoil, Leila continued to tell the rest of the information. The Dragon of the Magic Array is in the northern continent, where there is a legend of the 5 dragons. They are real dragons that have lived from 400 years ago to the present. After listening to this, Gildarts looked at Leila and nodded slightly, indicating that he had understood, and then fell silent. Mira and Altair also couldn't believe that there were dragons in the northern continent. Oh, by the way, don't let Natsu know about this. With his temper, he will definitely yell to find them. Those dragons are not good people. Leila suddenly remembered something and reminded the 3 of them. The 3 of them nodded in agreement, and then fell silent, digesting the information they heard. After that, Gildarts resolutely embarked on the journey. Leila also went to Kana to talk about this matter. Kana just said that she believed in Gildarts, and she had also divined for Gildarts. Although there might be danger, the result was good. Kana, don't worry, I will definitely return safely. Gildarts stroked Kana's head and said gently. After that, he strode out of the guild gate. Everyone looked at Gildarts's back as he walked away, with mixed feelings in their hearts, but most of them admired him and believed that Gildarts could complete this task that no one had been able to complete for 100 years. Leila did not stop Gildarts. Kana's divination was still very accurate, and he had no reason to stop him. However, he asked Gildarts to bring many potions made by Granny Polyusica. It was because he had an extremely strong heart that he became so powerful and was able to go further and further on the path of magic. Gildarts was the one who would never stop pursuing the path of magic. Similarly, to borrow the words of the old man, he worked hard on the path he believed in. This is the Wizard of Fairy Tale. Chapter 78. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old man was very angry. So what? She's my property. I can do whatever I want with her. The celestial spirit is just a tool. In the Blue Pegasus Guild, President Bob walked across the counter and came to Colin's side. He changed his usual gentle manner, with veins on his forehead bulging, and looked at Colin with a ferocious face. Colin. The celestial spirit is also alive. If you continue to treat it like this, you will suffer the consequences one day. Colin heard the strong warning in Bob's words, and there was a trace of fear in her eyes. She had never seen President Bob show such a terrible expression, but in a flash, her face turned as dark as the bottom of a pot, and she didn't even listen to Bob's words. He felt that everything was Aries' fault. It must be her who secretly informed him, causing him to be warned by President Bob. He then returned to his residence angrily, ready to let her out to vent his anger. Close the door of Leo. Colin took out the key of Leo, looking gloomy, and kept swiping it in the air. It's useless, Colin. I came here with my own magic. Even if your magic disappears, I will be here. Humph, then you can only hold on for a few days at most. It is impossible for the star spirit to survive in the human world. No matter how many days I will hold on, Colin, I will wait for you in the ruins in the west of the city. When you think it through, come to me again. After Leo finished speaking, he ignored the angry Colin and walked out of Colin's room. The ruins in the west of the city were originally a church, but now they are in ruins, with only a modeled statue inside. Leo, I know I was wrong, come back with me. If you know you are wrong, you should cancel the contract with us. I don't think you have any remorse at all. Damn it, Leo, why don't you die? If you die, I can continue to summon other stars. Get out of here, bastard. Karen could no longer suppress her emotions. She was tired of pretending to repent in front of Leo, and she couldn't stand Leo's threats. Everyone could see that she didn't know where she was wrong. She began to explode, like crazy, punching and kicking Leo, and constantly cursing Leo to die. Leo, who was at her feet, didn't care at all. While enduring her attacks, he endured the pain of his life passing away. What? Karen took the commission and went out to work. Xiang, why didn't you stop her? She didn't tell me at all. On the path leading to the church, it was no longer Karen's figure this time. It was President Bob who was walking towards Leo. He was in a low mood and walked in front of Leo with great trepidation. The tombstone outside the church couldn't help but add a little sadness to this. Kaylin, she ignored the dissuasion and took the commission to go out to work. What? But she has no ability to summon other spirits. How can she fight? She forced the double doors open, but her body couldn't bear it. She has already. How could this happen? I just hope she can understand that the spirits also have their own ideas and their own hearts. Leo knelt on the ground, crying bitterly. He didn't want this to happen. Leo, you killed me, it's you. Loki suddenly woke up, got up and sat on the edge of the bed, sweating all over. When he found out that he had a nightmare, he was relieved, but he felt extremely weak. Colin, I'm sorry. Loki pursed his lips, covered his face with his hands, and said with trembling lips. Then he went to the bathroom, took a shower, looked at himself in the mirror. His eyes were dull, dark circles were heavy, his face was haggard, and he tried to squeeze out a smile. After tidying up the room, he went to the front desk, checked out and walked towards the station. Sitting in the car, Loki didn't dare to sleep, but just stared blankly out the window. He and Ares were left to Colin by her mother. Colin's father abandoned them, and Colin's mother also died of illness. The disease was actually not particularly difficult to treat, but Colin didn't have the ability to make money at that time. Later, Colin's mother handed them over to Colin. Because of this incident, Colin had a desire for money. Gradually, she lost her mind and became obsessed with evil. She regarded the star spirits as tools, which was fine with Loki. He could tolerate it. However, Colin was very jealous of Ares. He did not hide his behavior, and whenever he was in a bad mood, he would take out his anger on Ares. Loki only hoped that Colin would wake up. The station has arrived. Please take your belongings and prepare to get off. Loki came to his senses and found that he had arrived at the station. He walked out of the platform in a daze, wandering in the city like a zombie. Finally, he sat down on a bench in a park, clasped his hands, lowered his head, and tried to dispel the uneasiness and anxiety in his heart. Several girls not far away saw a blond boy wearing dark square glasses, who was lowering his head in melancholy, as if thinking about something. In just a moment, they were attracted by his unique temperament and couldn't help but get closer. Loki noticed their gaze, and then forced a smile and smiled at the girls. In an instant, their eyes turned into heart shapes. When Loki saw the innocent smile from the girl, the haze in his heart was dispelled a little. Leila, I heard that there is a scumbag in the town recently, and he seems to have entanglements with many girls. Ah, where did you hear this? Is it so outrageous? Everyone in the town is going crazy. His name seems to be Loki. Loki? When Lyra heard this name and his deeds, she immediately understood. I have something to go out for. Lyra said. Yeah. After Lyra finished speaking, she walked out of the guild and walked towards the most lively place in the town, where a group of girls were flirting with Loki. Oh my god, this is the ancestor, so cool. The scene was indeed surprising, which shows how charming Loki is. Lyra tried to go in and talk to Loki, but was squeezed out by these fanatical suitors. As a last resort, Lyra could only use telepathy to communicate with Loki. Is your name Loki? Who are you? Loki heard the voice in his mind and immediately looked at Lyra outside the crowd. Seeing a strange face, he asked in confusion. I think you're quite interesting. Do you want to join our guild? Guild? Yes, fairy tale. Everyone in the guild is a partner. Okay. After thinking about it, Loki agreed to Leila's request. He also wanted to see what the guild where President Bob used to be was like. A day later, Loki joined Fairy Tale. Although he often brought girls to the guild, no one said much. However, what Loki cared about was that Leila's eyes were strange every time she looked at him. It was a look that had already seen through him, and Loki felt at a loss. And there was another thing. Begusro seemed to have seen through his identity. After Loki noticed this, he also understood Begusro's magic. Loki went to Begusro to discuss keeping this secret. Begusro thought it was very interesting and agreed to keep it for him. Chapter 79. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The old man was very busy, and the old man was very busy. In November of X782, a new commission was posted on the commission column on the second floor of the guild. A girl stood there quietly, staring at the commission, as if thinking about something. Mira reached out her hand without hesitation, grabbed the commission and peeled it off, picked it up and took a look at the specific information on the back, and then prepared to go to Makarov to record it. Do you want to take this commission? Suddenly, a voice sounded behind Mira, breaking the calm atmosphere. Mira was frightened and screamed, but then she regained her composure. She had already heard whose voice it was. Yes, I'm with Elfman, so he should be able to receive this monster. Mira turned around and told Leila his thoughts truthfully. Okay, I'll go with you too. Leila nodded. Okay. Mira didn't refuse, just thought Leila was too bored, so she accepted his request. The two went downstairs together. Mira took the commission and found Makarov to report to him. Leila stared at Mira's back, and at the same time, he was secretly glad in his heart that he had waited for so long. Since last year's S-level exam, Mira has won after a fierce competition with Kana and Ultia, and finally became an S-level wizard. Since then, Leila has started to pay attention to the S-level commission column, and has been waiting until now. The commission was urgently issued by the council 2 days ago, and Leila also began to learn from Nob, standing in front of the commission column from time to time, almost making herself depressed. While Leila was thinking, Mira had already asked Makarov to finish the record, so Mira found Elfman in the tavern and told him about this. Of course I have to go. As a man, I have to protect my sister. Elfman said firmly, and then began to pack up and prepare to follow Mira. Under the big tree in Nanko Park, Lisanna put her hands on her hips and stared at Natsu and Happy who were sitting there. Fighting again? Lisanna said unhappily. Lisanna, you're back. Natsu is so excessive. He actually ate all my fish. Happy complained to Lisanna about Natsu's evil deeds with tears in his eyes. What's wrong with letting me eat it? Natsu said indifferently. Look, Natsu's attitude is too much. Happy pointed at Natsu's face and said to Lisanna, just as Natsu and Happy were arguing, Elfman's voice came from afar. Lisanna, it's time to work. As Lisanna turned around, she saw 3 people coming over. But I just came back not long ago. Lisanna said puzzledly. It's S-level, we have to help my sister complete this task. Elfman said excitedly. So cunning, what is the commission? Natsu couldn't hold back his emotions when he heard S-level, and stood up instantly and asked Elfman. It's an emergency crusade, we have to conquer the monster of the beast. Mira and Natsu explained the content of the commission. Emergency crusades are reported to the council by local towns, and then the council will rush the commission to various guilds. What is Leila doing here? Lisanna expressed her doubts. It's too boring, I'm going to join in the fun. Leila answered lightly. I want to go too, I want to go too. After hearing this, Natsu also actively wanted to do the S-level commission. It seems that the journey is very long. Not only do you have to take a train, but you also have to take a carriage. It takes 2 full days to get there. Natsu, can you bear it? Leila said earnestly. 2 days. No, then I want to go too. Natsu wailed. 2 days could cost him his life, but for the sake of S-level, he could withstand the destruction of transportation. Okay, don't tease Natsu, there are too many people, and there won't be much reward to share. Mira interrupted Leila with a smile, and at the same time indirectly rejected Natsu and explained the reason to him. Okay. Natsu looked disappointed. It's okay, Natsu, you will find S-level commissions later. Mira comforted. Don't be jealous, Natsu will definitely receive S-level commissions in the future. Lisanna also comforted Natsu. Well. Then let's go. Lisanna. Nah, please bring me a gift when you come back. Habib stretched out his hand and waved at Lisanna. Natsu didn't say anything, but just thought about what Lisanna had just said. Natsu, I'm going out. Seeing Natsu's look, Lisanna looked back and smiled, making a signature gesture with her fingers. Be careful on the road. Natsu said with a smile. Mira and the other 4 started to set off and headed for the station. This time their destination was a town. There was a duke in the town, and it was because of the duke that this commission could be issued urgently. In the forest not far from the town, a hideous monster suddenly appeared at some point. Some time ago, a hunter in the village took his hound into the forest, and before he had gone far, he heard a deafening roar. After hearing this, the hunter did not hesitate at all, and quickly returned to the town with the hound that was already trembling with fear. This matter also spread quickly in the town. After the duke learned about it, he issued a commission to the mercenary guild. In the end, the people of the mercenary guild saw the monster, but they also suffered heavy losses. After receiving the news, the duke urgently issued an S-level crusade commission. So, what kind of monster is that? Lisanna asked curiously. It should be a beast. Mira hesitated to say her guess. After going over, you will know after beating it up. Leila said half-jokingly. Well, indeed, we'll know when we meet. Elfman also echoed. Then the few people quieted down and leaned back in their seats to rest. Leila sat by the aisle, and Mira sat next to her. He carefully looked at Mira sleeping quietly, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise. A smile appeared on his face, and he took a photo secretly. While admiring Mira frozen in the photo, Leila suddenly felt a trace of sight. Looking up and looking by feeling, he found that Lisanna was staring at him straight, with a smirk on her face. When she saw Leila found out, she opened her mouth slightly and said a few words silently. Leila looked at her mouth shape and it was having an affair, and the whole person looked quite embarrassed. Then she prepared to use telepathy to explain to Lisanna. But Lisanna ignored her and lay on the table to rest. After she finished speaking. Lisanna, listen to my explanation, I really. Leila continued to explain to Lisanna, but she was nervous and got stuck while speaking. It's okay, Leila, I know. Lisanna said with a smile, and then fell silent. Lisanna's mind was extremely active. Before getting on the car, she sat with Elfman specifically to create opportunities for the two. Mira was still sitting inside shyly, and Leila also sat next to Mira. Just now, when she discovered Leila's candid photos, Lisanna couldn't help laughing. After this commission was over, she must tell Mira about this matter when she returned. Chapter 80. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The town was in a state of panic, and the weather was very good. A carriage slowly drove in from the other side of the forest, breaking the tranquility of the town. Leila, wake up. Mira shook Leila gently. Leila yawned, rubbed her eyes, and asked sleepily, "Well, are we there?" "Leila, you didn't sleep well on the train, are you doing something?" Lisanna stared at Leila, and under her pure and innocent appearance, she hid a dark heart. "Ahem, I didn't rest well." Leila came back to her senses and said a little embarrassedly. Mira and Elfman looked at the two of them, not knowing what they were talking about, and just felt inexplicable. Several people got off the carriage, parked the carriage in a special hotel, and then came to the Duke's mansion. During the conversation with the Duke, they learned some information about the Beast King, and then the four of them set out on the road to the forest. Before coming, Mira had discussed with Leila, hoping to try not to take action in the commission, so that Elfman and Lisanna could accumulate more experience in this S-level mission. Leila understood Mira's good intentions and accepted her advice. Moreover, Mira's strength may have surpassed the Beast King now, and he may not need to take action at all. Mira and the other two walked towards the cave where the Beast King was. They followed the winding path deep into the forest. The surrounding trees became more and more dense, and the atmosphere became more and more depressing. Occasionally, there was a breeze blowing, and the leaves rustled. On the way, they also saw a bloody drag mark. As the cave approached, they could feel a strong breath. From a distance, they smelled a strong smell of blood, which made people sick. Mira and the other two were discussing strategy, and Leila was listening quietly. Before long, a heavy sound of footsteps rang in their ears, and the sound became louder and louder, attacking their hearts. Several people immediately held their breath, and a tense atmosphere filled the air. After a moment, the Beast King stood at the entrance of the cave, and several people also took the opportunity to see the full appearance of the Beast King. It was several meters tall, with golden horns on both sides of its shoulders and head, and sharp claws flashing cold light, which looked very oppressive. It let out a warning roar, and at the same time, a pair of eyes emitting purple light scanned the bushes where several people were hiding. Obviously, it had discovered the whereabouts of several people. To be able to become a Beast King, its sense of smell and intuition are almost abnormal. Seeing this, Mira and the other two stopped hiding and jumped out directly, and then used their whole body to receive. Lisanna, Elfman, you two assist me, be careful. Mira transformed into the soul of Satan, spread her demon wings and flew in the air. Okay. The two responded in unison. Animal soul rabbit. Beast soul black bear. Facing the powerful momentum of the Beast King, they did not dare to slack off, and immediately surrounded the Beast King and prepared to attack. The Beast King just glanced at Mira, and continued to stare at the grass. It felt a breath that could threaten it. Dark rage. Mira stretched out her right hand, and a black magic circle emitting an evil breath appeared. Dark claws from the magic circle attacked the Beast King. The Beast King opened his mouth, roared, and raised his arms to scatter all the claws. At the same time, Lisanna also rushed towards the Beast King, but was easily blocked and repelled. Elfman attacked the Beast King's legs, but was also kicked away by the Beast King. The strength of the two was too far from that of the Beast King, so it was difficult to cause damage, but the Beast King's movements were not fast. Then, Lisanna transformed into an owl, occupying the air advantage, and Elfman transformed into a black panther. The two continued to harass, creating opportunities for Mira to attack. Mira was not idle, and the three took turns to fight with the Beast King. The Beast King did not pay much attention to the attacks of Lisanna and Elfman. After all, the damage caused by the two was not serious, but it could not withstand the many attacks. Dark ball. A black spherical magic bullet condensed in Mira's hand, rushing towards the Beast King like a black meteor. Lisanna and Elfman were in sync, and they dodged sideways after discovering Mira's magic. At the moment of the impact, an astonishing black energy burst out, stirring up bursts of smoke. When the smoke dissipated, the Beast King's chest was charred and his body was covered with scratches, but even so, the Beast King's body was still extremely strong. Amazing. The three looked at each other and understood that the next battle would be a protracted battle. Mira was still looking for opportunities. The cry of Lisanna's animal soul, owl, could make the target fall asleep, but unfortunately, facing the Beast King, this cry could only make it slightly stunned. However, this was enough to create opportunities for Elfman and Mira. Time passed bit by bit, and the Beast King was exhausted and had more and more wounds on his body. Finally, under Elfman's continuous attack, the Beast King's legs also had flaws. As Lysana's cry fell, Elfman attacked the Beast King's lower body, and the Beast King finally couldn't hold on and staggered down, and Mira flew to the Beast King as fast as lightning. Soul Destroyer. Mira squeezed her magic power, and her hands were like black holes, condensing a dark energy ball containing huge magic power. Then, she released it towards the fallen Beast King without hesitation. The huge dark shockwave covered the whole body of the Beast King like a surging sea wave, and the surrounding land was sunken into a huge pit under this blow. The Beast King, who had already been almost exhausted, was covered in blood after taking Mira's Soul Destroyer head-on. He exhaled a breath of hot air from his mouth and let out a deafening roar. Then, it was ready to go and pounced on Elfman, wanting to step on the bug that kept harassing it. Seeing the Beast King approaching, Elfman wanted to dodge, but his magic power could no longer support his whole body to receive it, and his movements froze and returned to their original state. Lysana hurriedly shouted, and the Beast King's movements instantly became sluggish. Mira quickly flashed in front of the Beast King, released dark sparks at it, and quickly released a series of dark magic bullets with both hands to try to repel the Beast King, but the Beast King withstood this wave of output, and then slapped Mira away, and then punched Elfman. Elfman also used the Iron Bull wrist to fight against it. The two fought for only a moment, and Elfman was hit by a heavy hammer and was blasted far away, falling to the ground in embarrassment. While Mira and Lysana took this opportunity to attack the Beast King from behind, Lysana used her sharp claws to quickly grab the Beast King's neck. The Beast King's skin became fragile after being attacked by Mira's dark energy many times. This time, it was like a knife cutting, and blood flowed out. Mira concentrated all her remaining magic power on this Soul Destroyer, and released it at zero distance at the Beast King like a cannonball. Finally, the Beast King fell like a mountain and could no longer move. Seeing the battle was over, the two fell down, dispersed to receive magic, panted, and ran to Elfman's position after a little relief. Elfman was leaning against a big tree. Leila was beside him, and Elfman's condition had improved a lot, and his right arm that had been fighting with the Beast King was now intact. Mira and Lysana came over and saw Elfman's appearance, and they were also relieved. Then Leila took out 2 bottles of magic recovery potion and handed them to the two, and then sat down to rest. "How is it? How do you feel?" Leila looked at the few people and asked them what they thought. "It was so hard to fight." Lysana sat on the ground and said breathlessly. Elfman also nodded repeatedly. Mira didn't say anything, just smiled at the two people's safety. After resting for a while and adjusting their status, the few people walked towards the Beast King. Regarding the final disposal of the Beast King, Mira decided to let Elfman receive the Beast King. After all, this was a great help. Elfman was flattered and was about to refuse, but was rejected by several people. Elfman walked over, looked at the huge body of the Beast King, and used the receiving magic with gritted teeth. After everyone went back to report to the Duke also paid the reward readily, and then invited several people to eat and rest in his guest room. Seeing that they were still a little tired, Leila accepted the Duke's kindness, and after a night's rest, they set out on the way back. Chapter 81. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the way back, Leila was absent-minded. When Mira and the others were attacking the Beast King, Leila was not idle either. They did not notice that there was something wrong in the sky. The magic vortex that suddenly appeared in the air was constantly absorbing the magic power around it. It seemed that the magic power of the Beast King and Mira and the others attracted its attention. Fortunately, just like the original book, it was only small and not enough to forcibly absorb several people. Leila then materialized Mr. Gang, who was particularly sensitive to this and sensed anima the moment he appeared. Then he skillfully took out the magic wand, raised the magic wand in a very handsome posture, and turned off anima at will. All that was left was to watch the three fight the Beast King, but Leila always felt that there was a figure watching him, but he could not detect anything. He scratched his head and then continued to watch the fight. Then they returned to the guild. "We are back," Leila shouted, but the guild was sparsely populated and few people responded. "Well, how is the commission?" Only Makarov, who was drinking alone, responded when he saw Leila and the others. "It's okay." "Well, okay, Mira, go record the commission. Makarov glanced at the few people, nodded and asked Mira to find the commission record book. Mira and the other two nodded, and went to record the information of this commission. Are all the people in the guild out for work? Leila sat next to Makarov and took a glass of wine. Well, it's November. Makarov said. Time flies so fast. Leila couldn't help but sigh. Ah, it's really fast. Makarov nodded deeply and agreed. The two slightly lonely backs overlapped, then raised their glasses and clinked them, sighing. Sister Mira, what are they sighing about? Lisanna looked at the two people at the counter and didn't understand. I don't know. Mira was writing down the information in a notebook with a pen, and looked up after hearing Lisanna's words. Forget it, let's go back quickly. Lisanna stretched her body and began to feel listless. After running all the way, she didn't rest well. Only Leila looked comfortable and relaxed. After Mira said goodbye to the two people who were drinking, Leila and Makarov also said hello. Leila saw Lisanna made a face at him, and then looked at him with a smirk, and suddenly had a bad premonition in her heart, but she couldn't do anything about it. After Mira left, Leila and Makarov chatted. There were not many things to be solved during this outing, so he was very relaxed. In the next few days, some people in the guild came back, but soon went out to work again. Obviously, no one wanted to be idle during this period. However, Elfman has been in a bad state recently, his spirits are low, and he has no interest in anything. Elfman, where are Mira and Lisanna? They went shopping. What's wrong? You are listless all day long. Nothing, just a little confused. I feel that the Beast King is a little repulsive. I dare not release it with all my strength to receive it. Elfman shook his head and expressed his confusion. Well, this is my negligence. It seems that I have to prepare. Leila remembered this matter after hearing it. He was used to being lazy and always forgetting things. Regarding the Beast King, there are only two levels of problems. One is Elfman's magic, and the other is Elfman's will. It is not difficult to solve this problem. Leila's mouth corners gradually raised a subtle arc, and the smile looked a little scary. Hey, Leila, your smile is not right. Elfman suddenly felt a bad intention, and then saw Leila's weird smile. Leila smiled, then held the shoulder of Elfman, who was caught off guard, and took him out of the guild. First of all, you have to learn to stick to your will. You have accepted the Beast King, what else is there to be afraid of? Leila kept talking at length, and Elfman was a little drowsy after listening. The best way to eliminate danger is to face it. Come on, man. Hearing this, Elfman's spirit was instantly lifted, and his eyes were full of fighting spirit. Then let's try it first. You partially accept the Beast King and see. Well, okay. Elfman did not hesitate at all, raised his right hand high, and a magic circle passed through his arm and turned into the arm of the Beast King. As the arm appeared, a strong beast aura emanated, but the arm looked much smaller, which was not so abrupt. Attack me. Elfman did not hesitate, because he believed in Leila's strength, or he could not hurt Leila at all. Elfman's fist came, Leila dodged it sideways, and Elfman followed closely, attacking Leila relentlessly. Gradually, Elfman's movements began to become disorderly, and he revealed a primitive intuition. Leila noticed that Elfman was not in a good state, and took advantage of the opportunity when he attacked. Her lower body was a little unstable, and she grabbed his arm with both hands, and then threw him over her shoulder. Elfman only felt a pain in his back, and only heard a okay. Then he released the reception. Elfman stood up and patted the dust on his body. Before he had time to rest, he heard Leila talking again. Next, prepare to receive the whole body. When Leila saw that Elfman had partially received it, she had already figured it out, and then she wanted to see how the whole body received it. But, there won't be any problems, will there? Elfman hesitated and said worriedly. It's okay. Leila told him to relax, patted her chest, and indicated that she was there. Receive the whole body, soul of the Beast King. Elfman nodded, then closed his eyes and waited for a few seconds, and then he suddenly shouted loudly. A huge magic circle penetrated Elfman's body, and what remained was the towering body of the Beast King. Elfman looked down at Leila's short figure, and punched it without hesitation, stirring up clouds of smoke. When the smoke dissipated, only deep fist marks were left on the ground, but Leila was in the air, carefully observing Elfman's appearance at the moment. After seeing his purple eyes, Leila confirmed Elfman's condition. His eyes turned, and he couldn't help but smile, and decided to give it a try, that is, the special ability of the protagonists, mouth to mouth. While dodging the attack, Leila began to chatter to Elfman. "Elfman, how can you be a man like this? You should go to help your sister and your sister. You are very disappointing." Leila said these words with all her emotions, and took out a bottle of water from time to time to drink before continuing. In the end, it was found that it had no effect, and in desperation, she had to give up this idea. Isn't it the same in the original book? Is it because it's not real? Or did I operate it improperly? It was easy for him to defeat Elfman in this state. He only needed one punch from the teacher to deal with it, and Elfman immediately lifted the receiving magic.